Hello friends, Nancy Burt-Preece here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm going live on my Facebook page, and I'm also going to put this on my YouTube channel, so I hope you check it out. Here's all my contact information. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to have you. In the month of May, Stampin' Up! Has some wonderful sign-up deals. It's a great time to become a demonstrator, so if you're interested, please reach out. I am casing Patty Bennett for this gorgeous card. I am using the Impressions Abloom. I'm using the stamp set and a couple of dies. I'm using the Glass and Gardens, which is the embossing folder. And I wanted to share with you how I ran this through my embossing stamp and cut machine. I used number 1. Number 2, I had my paper inside there. And basically what I did is I just kind of laid it in there where I wanted it to be, towards the bottom. And then I put this embossing plate on top. And that's how I ran it through. If you do it some of the other ways, I struggle. So it's a little bit thinner than some of ours. It's not a 3D, but it's beautiful. So let's get started. I used a different saying on this, just to show you it's really could be a card for anything. This is from the Faith collection, and this is actually from Impressions Abloom. So how do we make this card? We start out with our 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. And then this is 4 by 5 1/4. This is Melon Mambo, and I stamped the sentiment in Melon Mambo. And then I have an inside white 4 by 5 1/4. And I got something on it. But anyway, then I have a scrap white, which we're going to use. And I cut some of the dies in Granny Apple Green and Garden Green, which we're going to use for our flowers. So let's do the fun part. Let's create the flowers first. I watched Patty's video, and her suggestion was to do the outline first. Now, if you look at this, there's one leaf, flower petal, that's longer than the other. Always make sure you know where that is. I'm doing this full strength in Melon Mambo. Then I'm going to use my chamois, clean it, stamp the image, making sure I know where that long petal is, stamp off, line it up as best I can on camera, and voila. Isn't that pretty? So I used Melon Mambo. The next one I'm going to use is Petunia Pop. Let me clean these. You do have to clean them in between. I am going to do this at a class in June, and yes, they are going to have to clean them in between at some of my library classes, but we're getting pretty good at that. So, and if you're at home, you can certainly take the time to clean them in between. Long petal to my left, full strength. I know where my long petal is. This is Petunia Pop. I'm going to line that up. Oh, I'm getting good at this one. Okay, so that is that. I just got Petunia Pop on my fingers, which is not atypical. Then I'm going to clean them again. And I'm going to stamp in Pretty in Pink. So I chose some different, bright. It's May. I think we're all tired of the winter colors. At least I am. You might not be, but I am. Stamp it off. Line it up. And there we go. So those are really relatively easy to do. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the flower part that you're going to use to cut out. And now I'm going to quickly do that off screen. And I'm going to, well, let me show you how I'm lining it up first. Making sure and finding that funny petal. Making sure that lines up just perfectly. If you come to one of my classes, and a lot of my team, I've seen them do it too, I tend to have washi tape out so that you can, so it doesn't move when you're running it through the machine. Sometimes it does. And if it does, I say just take a pair of snips and just cut the extra off. Now that one turned out really good. Let's see how I do. Usually there's one I do really well, and then I usually goof up one. You know how that goes. This would be your regular sandwich. So you do your number 1 base if you're using a Stampin' Up! Cut and emboss machine. Then you would use number 2, which is the extra die cutting piece. And then you use your cutting plates, which are number 3. And these are cutting out pretty good. You just have to kind of get them adjusted so it's exactly where you want it to be. And then try not to bump your machine when you're cutting it out. Because I've done that more times than I can even tell you. Okay, we've done all the cutting. And here we've got our 3 different colors. I'm going to move this to the side. And now I'm going to add, I added yellow over here. I think this time I'm adding yellow over here. Ooh, I almost forgot to add the daffodil centers. Oh, I see a couple people. Hi, Sally. Hi, Tammy. I'm adding some daffodil centers. Okay, that just kind of makes it pop a little bit. And I'm going to take a blending brush. Always start off your paper because if you never know if you're going to get a glob of something. At least I say that. Most demonstrators say that too. And I'm going to make it a little bit brighter this time. Last time I went a little lighter. This time I'm going to go a little brighter. That's yellow. Oops, there goes my die. Next, I'm going to go with the Petunia Pop, which is a fun. That was last year's in color. Luckily, it's still with us this year because it's a really pretty color. And the last one I'm going to do is Pretty in Pink. Just add a touch of that to the edge, and I'm going to make that a little bit darker. And we've got, isn't that pretty? Just blending brushes and your embossing folder makes such a gorgeous background. And remember, you can put anything you want on the top. I've used 2 different sayings, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to my card base to the top. And I'm going to pop these flowers up. I'm going to use, for the flowers, I'm going to use regular size dimensionals. You can do 2 or 3 or however many you want. I'm going to add a few. And I'm moving them over just a smidge. Last time, I think I got them too far over. I always make the card and then make it again and give you tips on how the second time is sometimes better and sometimes not. So you just never know what's going to happen. And the last one I'll put on is up here. I'm going to add a little bit right there. I like my flower placement better here. Then I'm going to take some tiny dimensionals, and I'm going to add that to some of our greenery dyes. And this is Granny Apple Green and Garden Green. And these dyes cut this out just beautifully. Let me make sure and get that under that. Oops, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. Let's put it here, because I don't want to cover up my words. That would not be good. And I'm going to add, and you can add as many as you choose. Just going to add, tuck one in maybe there. And for some reason, your eye likes odd numbers. It just looks better to us. So that's why I've got 3 leaves and 3 flowers, and you could do 5. You could do anything you want. Now, 2 more important things we're going to do for this card. The first one is I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. It's hard to see. Just adds a little bit of glitter. And I'm adding it a little darker than I did last time. Last time I had it really light. And you have to let that dry. So this will be, I don't know if you can see the sparkle on there. Oh yeah, I know. This is such a great stamp set, isn't it? All right, let me make sure this isn't, I brought it up to your eye and then it kind of ran because I made it a lot darker. Then I'm going to add some party dots. You could add any color you want. I'm just using the pretty and pink ones. And that one's escaping me. Let's see if I can. And I'm adding 3 of those too, you know. And like I say, you can add any color you want. So I'm starting to add this question, and sometimes people don't want to answer it, but I love to hear your answer. Which one do you like better? Do you like the darker colors or a little bit lighter? They both have great ideas. I just stamped whatever sentiment you want on the inside and a flower. And I use this in Melon Mambo and Granny Apple Green. So relatively simple card, but it's really got a big wow. So I hope you try it. And if you have this stamp set, have fun playing with all the different colors. It's just great. And if you use Wink of Stella, if you look, when you're going to look close, you're going to see mine went really kind of like, well, you can't lift it up when it's first drying. Kind of went out of the area a little bit. I'm okay with that, but it gives a pretty pop to the center. So have a great day. Let me say that 3 times. And I hope you look at Impressions in Bloom and the Glass and Garden embossing folders, because they're really fun. Have a great day.